All right, with Andor Season 2 coming up soon, we're going to do reviews of the first season.
Yeah, we're rewatching, just in anticipation.
And
we just got through the first one.
So it starts off with Andor looking for his sister at a brothel.
Yeah,
and
he had word that some gal that claimed to be from his home world was at this brothel, and she may or may not have been telling the truth about that world. Because, nobody uses their real names, so that might not have even been true that she was from that world.
Exactly.
But it was something he was looking into, yes.
And he gets
to Morlana 1.
Yes. And the first thing is, I was watching something probably, it could have, I don't know when it was, but Lucas was talking about, and it could have, I think it was the prequels.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think he kind of cheated on the prequels. It might have been something about that. He's like telling somebody, he's like, oh, well, you just can't, it can't be like Star Trek and you slap a wig on somebody and they're an alien.
You call them an alien, right?
And the madam, I guess, of the brothel.
The proprietor.
Had this very square, flat hairdo. And that's all I could think about looking at her.
Was that they slapped a wig on her and called her an alien?
Pretty much.
I don't know. I kind of thought she reminded me of Flat Top from Dick Tracy, because it was that flat top of her head, and then the tapered, way that the hair was shaped. It reminded me of Flat Top. Anyway,
so I don't think she was an actual proper working girl. She was just the figurehead.
Yeah, so to speak. But she had a flat head. You could rest your beer on it.
Beer, really. Anyway.
Or your ale, or whatever it is you drink on
Collie Ball. Right? Anyway. And then the
Tranya.
Yes, very cold. I'm glad you didn't say it, though. Little Ronnie Howard's line.
And I hope you relish it as much as I. But no.
And so, there's that. But that's all right. It's just something that just like, It's a personal thing. It's not like, oh my God, they fucked everything up. And then
she was kind of weird looking, though.
Yeah, and then the contrivance of the story was these two ne'er-do-well cops going to accost him, but they were in the brothel to get some tentacle or whatever whatever
their get down is.
Yeah, but that's between them and their living God. And then they decided to come out and hassle Andor.
And they were drinking the
expensive good stuff
that
they shouldn't have the money for on the salary that they're on. And they shouldn't have been in the high-end brothel because they don't exist.
They shouldn't. Yeah, they don't exist, and they shouldn't be able to afford those services
anyway
on their salary.
Exactly.
So what are they doing there? And they were on duty.
Yeah.
So they were a couple of
couple of cops.
Yeah.
And
they just took a disliking to Andor because they were there first, and the gal went and paid attention to him before she went to them, because they're probably regulars and they're probably assholes and they probably don't even pay for their shit.
Whatever it is.
Yeah. They probably didn't pay for their drinks at least.
So why would you go?
And a new face comes walking in, and sure, yeah,
she's gonna have money, yeah.
Fucking hey, what are you into? What can I do for you?
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, we were here first, and so they decide that when Andor leaves after he gets
his information,
his questions answered, and doesn't get anything that he was looking for, but he's on his way out, and they decide to go fuck with him because they're a couple of dicks.
Which is the contrivance of the whole story. But
it does. But it is the reason there was an incident that escalates into what happened.
The story, yes.
Yeah, and
but all I can say is at least they bothered to shoot it. I know it's a plot contrivance and it gets the story moving. I'm aware. I don't care because I got to see it. It wasn't something they talked about that happened in the before time, and now the shit's getting real.
Right, something that we didn't bear witness to.
Yeah.
We bore witness to this happening. Yes.
So I have to appreciate it that it is that. And the city that they were in was redressed from Ferris.
Yes.
It was absolute, because the staircase.
For that one little small
I know. No. I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying I noticed the staircase.
Right.
I'm like, oh, that looks familiar.
Yeah.
So, just these things you get to notice.
But it's practical use of their scenery.
Which is fine. I'm not complaining about it. I just noticed it. You got other people on the internet talking about fucking this and that. They don't even know what they're talking about.
Right.
And I know the difference between a Type 1 and a Type 2 phaser. Okay, so anyway. Moving on. We find the antagonist of the piece, or at least one of them.
Cyril?
Yes.
Okay, so Cyril is another member of this security
division
on this planet, Morlana, and he wants to investigate the deaths of these two douchebags.
Yeah,
and his commanding officer, chief, whatever he is,
tries to tell him to shut the fuck up in a polite sort of way.
Bad timing. I got this Imperial review coming up. All I don't need is a scandal like this.
Yeah,
because it could turn into a scandal and an embarrassing incident.
Yeah.
So he just wants to sweep it under the rug,
which is fine.
And even instructs Cyril to
write a report and
write a cover story and say this, and this in it. This is what happened, and we'll call it good. And Cyril was not good with that
because he was
dishonest.
Well, that's horseshit. He's an upstart trying to make his way in the universe like everybody else, but
right. And he's ambitious and he sees it as an opportunity.
Yes,
if he solves this thing, it might be a promotion in it for him.
And it goes all fucking sideways on him a little bit.
Yeah,
because he deserves it. He's one of those motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And you've met one of those motherfuckers at every job you've ever had.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I like about it. Everybody's relatable in a way.
Cyril is a total brown hole lickum.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which explains his dynamic with that gal at the end of the show.
Yeah. We're not going to get into what happens next yet, but we've seen it, so we know what's going to happen, and just love watching it unfold.
Yes,
especially after having seen it, and you had just a little bit better perspective of how well it's written and how well it's constructed,
and the show is rewatchable.
It is.
Which, can you say that about the sequel trilogy?
I mean, really, you do get more out of it a second time through.
Can you say that about the sequel trilogy or the Acolyte or any of the Disney Plus shows? Answer in the comments, please. So, we meet the droid, the wonderful little droid.
Yes.
Whatever it's called. And he zaps one of the dogs.
Some emo something or other.
Yeah. He zaps the dog that tries to piss on him, or starts pissing on him. And we get that Andor is kind of 6 different ways of shade on the Ferris. He's hustling and jiving as much as he can. And you can feel that there's always something about ready to go fucking wrong.
Yeah.
About ready to fly apart on him all the time.
Yes.
And that's the end of the episode, isn't it?
Yeah. And we get some flashbacks into Cassian's childhood.
Which is another question. So, is Cassian a native of this planet? Or because their clothing looks too constructed? It doesn't look tribal or ethnic or whatever.
No, and we talked about that too. It looks like their clothing was taken from some kind of a salvage.
So
maybe that wreckage that was, there.
Yeah. So are they the descendants
from deceased, space?
Yeah. Are they descendants from a Lord of the Flies kind of thing, or were they natives that just picked this stuff up? I don't know. Eric seems to think it's just a way to get around his accent, and that Galactic Standard isn't his native.
Right, it's not his first language, and that kind of explains away his accent. But because they had their own language, but I don't know. I had the impression they were native to that world. what's the name of it?
We'll remember later. It's all right.
Anyway,
the planet where he was when he was a kid,
and there was some wreckage there
because we see the ship
near their little
on fire, crashing, going and crashing.
Well, but there was wreckage there before that.
Yes.
Like the ship that was coming in that crashed was coming in to investigate the wreckage.
Ah, yes.
That was already there. So I think they'd already kind of pilfered that wreckage.
Okay, but
that's where those, because the clothes were all, oversized and looked like they were salvaged.
But then I just, where are the adults? Or do they explain that later on?
Yeah, that's a good question too, because where's all the grown-ups?
Yeah. So that's why I think it's like a Lord of the Flies sort of thing.
It's like Miri. Where's the grups?
Yeah. So
bonk bonk on the head.
So I don't know why people didn't watch this show. I mean, other than the fact that Star Wars sucks and Kathleen Kennedy's a
beast. I mean, they may have taken a kind of an attitude like I had. What are they going to do with this Andor thing? So, what?
Right.
And I'm a diehard, so I'm going to watch it and find out what they're going to do with it. Some people may have just given it a miss because they just didn't really
want to deal with.
Maybe they've never even seen Rogue One or didn't appreciate what Rogue One was.
Or we're like, oh, well, Rogue One, everybody dies, so what are they going to do? And who cares about the character? Which I can see that. But at least...
But no, we're getting...
But this is compelling. This is interesting.
Right, and you're getting...
And it doesn't have to be the Force and lightsabers all the fucking time.
No, and especially at this time in the timeline.
Yeah.
There's no active Jedi. The only one that you ever see with a lightsaber, Darth Vader. If you have the, misfortune of seeing that, yes. How many people have actually seen Darth Vader up close and personal in the whole of the galaxy? A handful.
Yeah. So, with that, let us know what you think about this show, this episode. Are you going to see season 2? Leave a comment, like, share, and, of course, subscribe.